Hello, Jim Howard here in Fort Worth, Texas. Today's date, it is November 23rd of 2022. Tomorrow will be Thanksgiving here in the United States. This is going to be real fast. I hope. Hope I don't get carried away. I don't know how many years ago, a long time ago, I stumbled on Quora. I think that's what it is, Quota. I think on my Bing browser, there's a thing where I can put a word in and get the pronunciation correct on it. Anyway, years and years ago, a long time ago, I stumbled on this place, Quora, and it's where people ask questions, and then people answer those questions. And I actually, over the years, I learned a great deal of things from it, from people asking the questions and from people, answering the questions. I remember the first question. I was, stuff's popping up years ago on, the internet and everything, and somebody asked the question, if somebody's, wealthy, really wealthy, and do they have to, when they go into a place, like a restaurant, a fancy restaurant, something like that, do they have to, pay by credit card? I mean, do they have to sign for it? And so it was a question, asked question or whatever, and I thought, well, yeah, I'm interested in that. And then several people answered. One guy said that, he knows what his boss is going to be doing. He's like I guess, personal secretary, something like that. And that he takes care of everything like that. So when his boss, takes somebody out to eat or whatever, the boss never has to ask, for the check or anything like that. He takes care of everything. Somebody else also answered that, they worked in they were the same type of thing, answered the same way. And no, somebody else but in this section, somebody said, asked, is there such thing as a real gold credit card? And this other guy answered, yes, there is. And I forget if it was American Express or who it was. There was a very limited number of those, and it actually was gold. And, when you laid it on the tray or whatever, there was this, clicking sound or something, I don't know, and stuff like that. But anyway, I followed that thing. I spent so much time, a lot of time, because I would, over the years, start reading something and learn something. Another thing I learned when Trump came, around into our consciousness, somebody asked about him and being in the military. I mean, which he wasn't, but how did he keep out of the military, whatever it was, and several people. It was a whole bunch. It wasn't just one answer. A whole bunch of people. That he, he got student deferments, and then when he couldn't get student deferments anymore, he came up with having bone spurs in his feet or whatever, and that got him a 1Y card, and so when I saw that, I was like, wow, that's what I got. I had a 1Y card because I was 40 pounds under the minimum weight requirement to get in the military. And I tried to get a military, but they wouldn't take me. And then somebody answered there that, so anyway, I thought I had a 1Y card. You had to carry your card with you. If you probably weren't alive then. I was, young whippersnappers, I tell you. you were required by law to carry your card. And during the Vietnam War, that a whole bunch of men, they weren't burning their bras. Women were burning their bras sometimes, someplace for something. The men burned their card, and but then somebody, several people commented that NØUWY cards were because of Trump, that at such and such a date, a year or whatever, the selective service people changed everybody who had a 1Y card to a 4F card. And so, and 4F mean they wouldn't take you under any circumstances at all. But from other questions on, there was always a lot of questions on this service. Maybe change, maybe to give you a little idea what this, let's see. Somebody talked about the weight, and the military. And so I was under 40 pounds under minimum weight requirement. And turns out that some military, I think some of them were recruiters and stuff, they mentioned that at a certain point in the Vietnam War, the military needed people so bad that they changed the rules. If you were under the minimum weight or over the minimum weight, a certain amount, I'm not sure I can't remember what the amount was, but they would take you in the military, and talked about what they did. I think, well, one, they put you in like a special unit. Maybe not a special unit, but of the platoon you were in or whatever it was, you were, they knew who you were, these people. And I think in like the Army, I think you had like, for your meals, I think it was like 30 minutes. You have 30 minutes to eat. Whatever you put on your tray, you have to eat all of it. And you got 30 minutes to eat, and that's it. What they did was, and also like, in basic training, things have changed. I probably have changed, And two, this doesn't apply like this, because I saw people commenting like, well, the Air Force, yes, you can have a dessert. In fact, this person said, when I went, there was a ice cream machine there, and you could go over and get you a Dairy Queen or whatever. Air Force was different than the Army, and I'm sure the Marine Corps probably didn't let up the Marines eat food. Probably had to eat ammunition or something, But what the Army did was, let's see, I'm not sure this is exactly correct, but I think it was something like this. Okay, you're a regular in the, the basic training thing. You're not overweight or underweight, grossly. And so you have 25 minutes or 30 minutes to eat. And you have to eat everything that you take. And, but if you were in, let's say like me, underweight, you would get maybe 35 minutes to eat. And you could have a dessert, something like that. And then, of course, if you were overweight, you got like 25 minutes to eat and something, stuff like that. So a whole bunch of stuff. I learned a whole lot from this Quora, and after all these years, I've actually answered two questions, and I answered them, in length, not just awful lot of people just to, 2 or 3 lines or whatever. I had man, the one question was, Oh, about handicapped parking. And since I worked hospital security, I I answered about that in detail, great detail, and about the permit and the whole, all the fundamentals of that. And the other question was about, I can't remember now, but I answered on that in great detail. So, just a few years ago, not very long ago, let me switch back here to see if I can find something to set up. Let's see. No. Okay, well, here it is. What the site looks like. Okay, if I click on Jim Howard's post, is it going to show what I have? No, it doesn't now. And anyway, let's go back. So I don't know if it was a year ago or maybe 2 years ago. I'm getting old. I'm not getting there. I'm there. I'm 81. By the way, please use the link above. It takes you to Amazon, and if you purchase something, I'll get a small commission. Anyway, a while back, Quora popped up with a thing that if you write something, if you write a question and a whole bunch of people, now it has to be a whole bunch of people, I mean, they don't say that, but if you ask a question and then a whole bunch of people click on your question to read the answers or whatever, that you can make money. And then they had, like little stories or things saying, hey, people are up, somebody made, I don't know how much, a lot. And then it was, if you ask a question and that your answer to that becomes, well, no, if you ask a question, okay. And then the other was if you answer a question and people click on that and click that they like it and whatever, you can make a whole bunch of money. And myself and my friend, both of us said that at the same time, that this is really a bad idea, that it's really, and sure enough, it did. People started asking the stupidest questions and the things that would just attract, I don't know what, but it just, and I have it appears it probably didn't work. And well, they probably, Quora probably realized this was a bad idea. I mean, they could have run it by a few people, even some dumb people, a dumb person like me. Do you think this is a good idea? And I would have said immediately, no, not a good idea. So I just today got my notice that I get from Quora about, new questions or something like that. And I see now that they are setting up a pay thing. Now you can apparently get it. You know how that goes. Let's see if this says. Yeah, okay. So, and it shows 30-day free trial. So, it says, well, you can read it. No, you can't. Okay, I got it. Okay, there. So there it is. So it's going to be $4, the beginning thing. $4 a month if you pay yearly. If you don't pay yearly, it'll be $7 a month. And you can get a 30-day free trial. And starting December 24th of 2022, your subscription will renew automatically each year. Cancel at any time in the settings. and whatever. So I, like I said, I've learned a lot. I've enjoyed. I really learned a lot. And when I did my 2 answers that I did, the fact that people, gave a thumbs up or whatever on it, I thought that was because I did it. I spent, I spent some time working on the answers, and I think it contained, like the one for handicap parking, can you park, and what if you're, and I answered everything about it and stuff. And I got a bunch of thumbs up, which I liked. I didn't make any money or anything, of course, but I think I'm just going to stop using, quote, I'm not going to pay. Had a good run, and I learned a whole lot. It was really educational. A lot of stuff about the military, because I did, want to get into the military. As soon as I graduated, I went to a military high school, De La Salle Military Academy, and as soon as I graduated, I went down to, enlist, and I was 40 pounds under the minimum weight requirement. And they wouldn't take me. And then a few years later, I got the selective service physical, or notice. I went for that, 200 of us. I've mentioned this before, all naked. How did I know there was 200 of us? Because they, magic marker, they wrote on our, chest, 1 to 200. And right away, there was 200 of us, naked, and the doctor, he saw me, and he worked his way through the 200 of us and came up to me and said, have you been in the hospital? Are you sick? Do you have? And I said, no. And so he went back, and then everybody was processed. And now I had hearing loss, really bad hearing loss. But I never thought about that. I just totally forgot about it. I never thought about that. And what they did for the hearing thing was, you came up to a door, and then somebody on the other side of the door said something, the number, a number 6 or something. Oh, 6, okay. And so anyway, I got a notice in the mail that I was 1A. So I went down to the recruiter after having been down there, years ago. And he said, oh, I said, I got a notice, 1A and everything. He said, okay. He said, I get a list there, but it's 1A. I'd have been contacting you. And so then I started filling out the paperwork. Oh, that's another thing, by the way, I learned from Quora. I didn't know until reading the things that people who went in the military and recruiters, answering questions or whatever. I didn't know that was really a contract between you and the military, like the buddy program and all these other, and you could pick your, your choice of country to go to and these various things that they had. I didn't really know that was like a contract that you had with them. And I also didn't know you could really pick, because the recruiter said, okay, well, what we need is teletype repairmen. And I said, well, okay, put me down for that, And so anyway, I said, I'm kind of pissed, I was down here, I don't know how long, 2 years, 3 years ago or something like that. And I tried to enlist, and you wouldn't take me because I was 40 pounds under minimum weight requirement. He said, well, you do look thin. I did look. I could have been in one of these movies where they needed people for, be concentration camp victims. And so he picked up the phone and he called the medical unit over there that does the selective service physicals, and they looked at it and they said, oh, okay, yeah. We made a mistake. He'll get a new card, 1Y, in the mail, and so I did. Okay, this is longer than I wanted it to be, but I wanted to give you some information, and I think I did. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I'll wave goodbye. 3, 2, 1. Goodbye.